Okay, budget. So it says enter the average you want to spend each day, right? So Google is asking you to set your daily budget. Now, as I've already told you, there is an advanced rule which is not known to many people, and especially not to many digital marketing trainers as well, right? So whenever you enter your daily budget, let's say I enter my daily budget as 200, that doesn't always mean that I will spend 200 rupees every day. Sometimes I might spend more, I might end up spending more than 200, and sometimes I might spend less as well. So for example, there will be days when I spend 150, 200, or even 300 rupees, or even 400 rupees on the campaign, right? Now in the exam, you will have this question that your client notices that his daily budget goes beyond the amount that you have set. Like for example, the client has set 200 rupees, he notices that the budget is going beyond 200, like to 300, 350, 400. How will you explain, or what will you explain to the client? So the reason Google does this is Google converts your daily budget into monthly budget, right? And he does that by multiplying your daily budget by 30.4. Okay, so 200 multiplied by 30.4 gives us, let me just do the calculation, 200 multiplied by 30.4 should give us 6080 rupees. Okay, so now Google assumes that you are going to spend 6080 rupees. Why does he do it? Why does he use this technique, and how did he get 30.4 as a number? So Google's calculation is very simple. He says that in some months there are 30 days, in some months there are 31 days, and in some months there are 28 days, right? So the calculation is very simple. What Google does is, there are 365 days in a year. He will divide it by 12 months. So per month there are 30.4 days. This is what the calculation is by Google. Now Google says that in a month there are 30.4 days. And how does he convert your daily budget into monthly budget? 200, or the daily budget, multiplied by 30.4 will give him monthly budget, which in our case is 6080 rupees. Now why does Google do this? Google does this because today he might spend more. Like for example, he might go beyond 200 and end up spending like 350. Okay, and tomorrow he might spend 400, but maybe on the third day he'll spend only 150. On the fourth day he will spend only 80 rupees, right? So if you observe, in the longer run you will boil down to a number which is close to 200 rupees per day, right? So sometimes Google spends more, sometimes on some days he will spend less, but if you average it out in the longer run, you will see that you have ended up spending something around 200 rupees per day, right? Somewhere around 200 rupees per day. So that is how Google does the calculation. And why does he do this? Why does Google do this? So Google does this because to handle or to manage fluctuations in the search volume of the keywords, right? Because there is no guarantee how many people will search for the business today. There's no guarantee how many people will search for the business tomorrow, right? If today a lot of people search for the business, he will show your ad more frequently and end up spending more. If tomorrow less people search for the business, he will show your ad less frequently and end up spending less. So more today and less tomorrow, if you average it out, you will find yourself at around 200 rupees, right? Okay, so that is why he does this, to manage the fluctuations in the number of searches. Okay, so when there are more searches, Google will spend more. When there are less number of searches, Google will spend less. Okay, so that is the technique with budgets. The bidding section is, bidding means in what style or by what method are you going to pay, how are you going to pay to Google, right? So there are a variety of bid strategies. Okay, so some bid strategies are automatic, some bid strategies are manual. I'll go ahead and select this one, select a bid strategy directly, which is not recommended by Google, but I suggest you should always go for this technique. Now you will find a drop down over here. Let's just click this option and see what all options we have. So there are only two bid strategies actually. One is automatic CPC, other one is manual CPC. Okay, so this is manual CPC, manual bid strategies. Over here you set the amount that you are willing to pay per click. Okay, so I can set my bid amount as, let's say, 20 rupees. So the maximum that I'm willing to pay is 20 rupees. I might end up spending less also. Okay, but when I set a manual CPC, that means I'm telling Google the maximum I'm willing to pay is 20 rupees per click. You might end up spending just 7, 8 or 12 rupees as well. Okay, so that amount is decided by Google during the real-time bidding process or ad auction process. So that is what manual CPC is. Here you are in charge, you are in control. Whereas the rest of the bid strategies, can you see these? Target CPA, target ROAS, right? So these are automated bidding strategies. In these strategies, Google decides how much you are going to spend per click. So as a business, you are not in control of your spending. Google is taking the charge of your spending. Okay, so I suggest when you're starting fresh, always go for this. But when you have a lot of experience under your belt and when you have higher budgets, right? So go for these options. When you have lower budgets, go for manual CPC. Now let me tell you what these options are. Target CPA means what cost per acquisition you want to target. It's a question actually. What cost per acquisition you want to target? Target ROA stands for return on ad spend, or to put it in simple terms, ROI. What returns do you want on the amount that you are spending in the ads, on the ads, right? So target ROAS, target return on ad spend. Maximize clicks. Now if you want more clicks, then you need a higher position in the listings, in the ranking. If you need a higher position, then you'll have to spend more. So when you select maximize clicks, Google might, again I'll repeat the word, Google might give you a better position, but that will come at a higher cost. Okay, with maximize conversions, Google will give you a higher position. Why? Because to maximize your conversions, you need to maximize your clicks. To maximize your clicks, you need a higher position. And if you need a higher position, then you have to spend more. Okay. Maximize conversion value. To get maximum conversion value, you'll have to spend more because you will need a higher position and your ad needs to be shown more frequently. Okay. Target impression share. Impression share means, suppose you enter the auction 100 times, but your ad is shown 20 times. That means your impression share is just 20%. Okay, so if I want to get from 20 to 40 or to 60, basically if I want a higher impression share, then Google will do that for me, right? But at what cost? It will increase my bid amount. Okay, so in all these scenarios, per click you can spend 20 rupees also, or you might end up spending 120 also, right? You don't have any control over here. Google decides your bid real time during the auction process. Okay, so hence I suggest that when you're starting fresh, never go for these bidding strategies, always go for this one. Okay, so in our case, I'll simply select manual CPC. Okay, one more thing I would like to add over here is, in order to use most of these bid strategies, especially the ones which are related to acquisition or conversion, you need to first get the Google conversion tracking code and you have to paste it only on your thank you page. Okay, so the conversion tracking code, let me just close the tabs. Okay, the irrelevant ones. So the conversion tracking code can be acquired from this section. Can you see tools and settings, measurements and conversions, right? From this section you can acquire the conversion tracking code. It's a piece of code and you will copy the code and you will go to your website. Okay, and the page that occurs at the very end of the sales process, that is after purchasing something, after someone purchases a product on your website, he lands on the thank you page, right? Or when someone visits your website, fills up a form, he lands on the thank you page, right? So the last page in the sales process is thank you page usually. So you will copy the conversion tracking code and paste it on the thank you page only. Okay, once you do that, then only you will be able to use majority of these bid strategies. Okay, So in order to use these bid strategies, you need to implement the conversion tracking code on your website. How do we do that? I'll explain it to you later on in the sessions to come. Additionally, I would like to add that in order to run your campaign on target CPA, now most people Additionally, I would like to add that there's a misconception around CPA, cost per acquisition, right? So people feel that you have to pay Google only when there is a successful conversion, right? But as I said, this is actually a question mark. Target CPA. Basically, Google is asking you what cost per acquisition you want to target. So in all of these cases, your ads will run on CPC basis, cost per click basis. So you will end up spending, or you will pay money to Google only when someone clicks on your ad. Okay, for example, if someone goes to Google and he searches for 1 BHK flats in Mumbai, if he searches for this, he will see, assume that this is your ad. Okay, the user sees your ad, he clicks on the ad, right? This is the point where your money gets deducted and goes into Google's pockets. Okay, so I'll close the tab. So that is called as cost per click, also known as pay per click. So okay, so in most of these or in almost all of these bid strategies, you are spending money on click basis only. Remember that. Okay, so when I say target CPA, it doesn't mean that I'll be paying Google after a successful conversion. No, it means Google is asking you what cost per acquisition you want to target. Okay, it's a question mark. So assume that you are running a simple search campaign. Okay, your cost per click is 20 rupees. You get 5 clicks. How much is your cost? My cost per click is 20 rupees. For 5 clicks, I will spend 20 multiplied by 5, which is 100 rupees. Okay, so the overall cost is 100 rupees. Now you get 2 conversions out of those 5 clicks, which is highly unlikely, but suppose you get 2 conversions out of those 5 clicks, right? So you have spent 100 rupees and you've got 2 conversions. So for 1 conversion, how much did you spend? So all you have to do is 100 divided by 2, which gives you 50, right? So 50 is your cost per acquisition or cost per conversion. But are you paying Google 50 rupees after the conversion? No, you're paying Google on click basis only, right? And how much is that? 20 rupees per click. Okay, so target CPA is not the actual metric, it is just a derived metric, right? It is for our calculation purpose. Okay, cost per acquisition is for calculation purpose. Even if you select cost per acquisition over here, you will still end up spending on click basis. When someone clicks on your ad, you will pay money to Google, not on acquisition or conversion basis. Okay, now one very advanced and very important tip over here is you cannot straight away start running a conversion campaign or acquisition campaigns. Okay, you need to first prove to Google, you need to first show Google what your acquisition cost is, right? So if you plan to use target CPA as your bid strategy, Google will ask you first to run a campaign, a regular campaign on manual CPC. Okay, for 15 days, sorry, for 30 days, right? So Google says that you run a regular search campaign for 30 days and you get minimum 15 conversions. That is the eligibility criteria. Now what Google does is he will check how much amount you end up spending after 30 days. Suppose you spend 1000 rupees, okay, and in those 1000 rupees, suppose you you get X amount of conversions and your cost per conversion is around 50 rupees. Okay, I'm assuming the cost per acquisition or cost per conversion is 50 rupees. Now Google has a rough idea how much your acquisition cost is, right? And then only you can run your ads on target CPA basis, right? So Google will run your campaign in such a way that the conversion is around 50 rupees. It can be less than 50, it can also be more than 50. Google doesn't guarantee that the acquisition cost will be equal to the target CPA, but he will try to get you a conversion around 50 rupees. Okay, but in order to run these the campaign on these bid strategies, you need to run a regular campaign for 30 days and prove that you can get 15 conversions in those 30 days. Okay, so yeah, that's all for bid strategies, and in the next tutorial we'll discuss about ad extensions.